Well, taking a live look outside in Y City, just one of the many locations where side roads are continuing their pattern of melting during the day and then freezing at night. Officials say drivers should slow down during commute hours as daytime melt gives way to overnight freeze on side roads. And with that daytime melt and overnight freeze, icy road conditions prompted several school districts across our area, including Fort Smith, Van Buren, and West Fork, to adjust their schedules. Leaders say clearing ice from roadways is more complicated than removing snow.
We can't do anything with it. We run the plows come right over to the top layer, and we make no headway on it.
In many cities, crews are working nonstop to ensure roads are clear from ice and snow, but leaders are still urging drivers to remain cautious until all the snow fully melts away. Well, roads continue to be a problem for many in the rural parts of the region. In Fort Smith, the street department says the biggest challenge comes when the sun goes down. When water on the roads refreezes overnight, it leaves patches of ice in the morning. They do say that crews have been working nonstop. Well, also in Fort Smith, an Arkansas Department of Transportation salt truck slid off the road on Thursday. Take a look at this. Viewers sent us these photos that were taken after the truck had slid off near Zero Street and Old Greenwood Road. The agency says the truck hit a utility pole, but the driver escaped without serious injury. FEMA has approved more than $867 million in disaster recovery funding for 5 states, including Arkansas and Texas. The funding supports 546 public assistance projects covering debris removal, emergency protective measures, and repairs to damaged public infrastructure. The approvals are part of a broader national effort. In the past week alone, DHS and FEMA approved more than $2.2 billion in disaster assistance nationwide. FEMA says additional projects will be approved as reviews continue. Well, we told you last weekend that ahead of this cold weather, a Harp store in Fayetteville sold more groceries than any other snowstorm. And it wasn't just this store. Residents tell us lines were out the door across the area. 5 News reporter Claire Everbach took a closer look at what happened during this snow and how grocery stores deal with delays in restocking once the roads clear.
The recent winter storm left many grocery store shelves empty and delivery trucks stuck. Harp's grocery manager Max Hendrissy says the weather made it difficult for some suppliers to get through.
A lot of our vendors were supposed to deliver Monday, didn't deliver because the roads are still too bad. It's usually about a day or two of delaying until it gets clear for them to drive.
Some restocks never made it at all.
We had a really big day yesterday, and we barely had anything on the shelves.
Even with the delays, shoppers were quick to return, sometimes faster than supplies could keep up.
And at least 3 of our trucks got canceled completely because they got stuck.
Steve Good with the Arkansas Grocers Association says many stores in Northwest Arkansas rely on distribution centers out of state, making weather conditions even more critical.
A lot of times it's what you're able to get because not only are outbound orders difficult to get out, inbound orders to the warehouses are hard to get into.
And when delays happen, fresh goods are especially hard to replace.
You can react on non-fresh a little quicker, but fresh, meat items, produce items, dairy items are a little harder to react on and get those items on in the warehouse because you've got pretty much standing orders.
In most cases, Good says stores recover within a few days.
But typically, we have an event and then 2 or 3 days later, we've got, 40, 50 degree weather and it gets it right back off the roads.
And when forecasts show prolonged freezing temperatures, they try to help stores prepare ahead of time.
We just make sure that, we've communicated as best we can to them that, hey, you've got a weather event coming, make sure you're stocking up and getting prepared.
In Fayetteville, covering news where you live, Claire Everbach, 5 News.
Well, in Minneapolis, people are saying the ICE has not changed its ways despite a change in command. Border Czar Tom Homan says ICE will start to draw down, but he has not apologized for the tactics that agents have used so far. Lilia Luciano has more.
President Trump's border czar Tom Homan said Thursday that the large-scale immigration crackdown in Minneapolis will start looking different.
What we've been working on is making this operation safer, more efficient by the book.
When asked for his take on the shooting deaths of Renee Good and Alex Preddy, Homan was more measured than some other administration officials earlier.
Do I have an opinion? Yeah. My personal opinion, but I'm not going to share that with you. I'm going to tell you, let the investigation play out, see where it goes.
But state investigators continue to be excluded by the government from the federal investigations into the fatal shootings. As Hennepin County Attorney Mary Moriarty told us.
How would you categorize what the government is doing here in regards to your office and your investigation?
It is unprecedented.
Moriarty said the federal government's demands go beyond what's legally required.
This is not about public safety.
What do you think it's about?
Extortion.
Homan said there's 3,000 agents currently deployed in Minnesota and that number could be reduced if the state allows federal authorities expanded access to undocumented immigrants being held in state prisons and county jails.
This is common sense cooperation that allows to draw down on the number of people we have here.
Yesterday, Tom Homan acknowledged that prisons are cooperating with ICE detainer requests, but jails don't have to. That's part of what he's hoping to change. In terms of the investigations into the killings of Alex Preddy and Renee Good, the Hennepin County Attorney told us that they are deciding whether to file charges against the officers involved, that they are confident that they will have enough evidence to make a decision, but that has not been decided yet. She did say that the agents do not have absolute immunity, despite what may have been suggested by Trump administration officials. Lilia Luciano, CBS News, Minneapolis.
Well, protests on the subject are expected to take place today and into this weekend. Organizers are calling it a national shutdown, calling for people not to go to work or school and to rally against ICE activity. Protests have continued daily in the state of Minnesota since the shootings of Renee Good and Alex Preddy earlier this month. Well, locally, these ICE protests have already begun. Here's some video right there on your screen from Fort Smith, where a protest was held in front of the U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services field office on Kelly Highway. Yesterday, protesters gathered to rally against the recent federal officer-involved shootings in Minnesota. Whenever a protester was asked about why she was protesting, this was her response.
We need to be a nation that goes by our Constitution and our laws. And Christine Ohm is frightening to me. With both shootings in Minneapolis lately, she's immediately come out with something saying that it was justified.
You can follow updates on protests and walkouts in your area on our website, which is 5newsonline.com, or by downloading the 5 News app.